What up, Bulls Nation? We've got a live CHGO Bulls pregame coming up for y'all right around the corner. On tonight's pregame, the Bulls look for a 3-0 start, and they will need to beat Trae Young and the Atlanta Hawks to do it tonight. Hawks had a busy offseason, one of the most heralded across the entire league. We'll break down what's up with the Hawks and take a look at some impressive Bulls defensive numbers through their first 2 wins. Next. What's going on, Bulls Nation? Welcome in to CHGO Bulls pregame. Coming to you live from our studios here in West Loop, downtown Chicago. I'm Peck, Bulls_Peck. That's my guy, Big Dave. Bam, bam, bam. Yeah. Joey, would you like to contribute?
I sure would.
A bam?
Bam, bam, bam.
No, wait. It's not bam. It's bow.
Oh, bow.
There you go.
Oh.
B-A-W-L. You got to say it like Avery Johnson is saying it, sir. Yeah.
Now I get it.
Now you
Why'd you say that in the first place?
I've been saying it ever since I made it up. I've been saying that. For over 15 years, I've been saying it. You say it like Avery Johnson is saying it. That's how you say bow.
Bow.
B-A-W-L. Bow. Follow me at BAWL Sports.
That's right. And that's our guy, Joey Z, on the controls.
Yes.
Make sure you're also following along with our guy, Willigo Gottlieb, at the UC, covering tonight's Bulls-Hawks action. He will join us for a part of our postgame show to give us the intel and the good hard deets. But first thing we have to do is pregame this matchup between the Bulls and Hawks tonight. CHGO Bulls pregame, of course, presented by our friends at Michelob Ultra and Bet365. The delicious taste of victory deserves something equally superior. Cheer on your team with Michelob Ultra and download the Bet365 app with promo code CHGO365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. All right, Dave, let's knock this out of the way first.
Let's hit it, man.
Bulls and Hawks had some interesting names on their injury reports for this one.
Okay.
Obviously, we know Kobe White still in that 2 week before a reevaluation timeline. He is out, as is Zach Collins, who has a 4 week designated timeline before being reevaluated with the wrist fracture. Josh Giddey was a name added to the Bulls injury report before this Bulls-Hawks tilt tonight with a sprained right finger. But Billy Donovan confirmed to the media before tonight's game he is available and will play.
All right.
Good news there.
All right.
Good news there. Josh has been putting up numbers for the Bulls in their first 2 wins. As for the Atlanta Hawks, they had a lot of important names on their injury report for tonight. Kristaps Porzingis has been dealing with flu-like symptoms. Jalen Johnson, one of the rising bigs in the NBA, has an ankle sprain he's dealing with. And one of the high lottery picks from last year, Zachary Riza-Shea, also dealing with an ankle sprain. However, all three, Kristaps, Jalen Johnson, and Riza-Shea, are given the green light tonight and will play. So no gimmies for the Bulls in this matchup.
Oh, man. Just made it tougher, but it's not insurmountable. They can still come out and win this game because, as I'm sure you know, Matt, they play Atlanta really tough and come out on the winning side more often than not.
That they do. Everybody always loves to talk about the Ayo Dosunmu and Trae Jones matchup.
Clank, clank!
You know, it's always good. These Hawks-Bulls matchups for the past few years have always seemed to be crazy, chaotic, clutch finishes, overtimes abounding. Knock on wood, we don't need that tonight. And it seems at the center of it always is this crazy like Trae Young versus Ayo Dosunmu matchup where Ayo is one of the best defensive players in the league when it comes to limiting Trae Young and shutting him down.
Yeah, Ayo was so much fun to watch. I was telling Joey C before the show that the nickname I used to call Ayo, or I still call Ayo because of what he did against Trae Jones and continues to do, call him the Warden. And it's just clank, clank. It's locked down when he goes up against him, man. Like, he is a problem for Trae Jones, always has, and I feel like that will never stop. It feels like that's going to continue. I will give Trae Jones credit. I mean, this is an all-star. You know, this is an all-pro kind of guy.
Yep.
He absolutely has had games where he has balled out, okay? You're not just going to hold a guy like that down forever.
Yeah.
But playing against a guy like Ayo Dosunmu, it's always a difficult task. The thing that changes, though, is this is a new look, like you mentioned, a new look at Atlanta Hawks team that is built around Trae Young and the things that he doesn't do well.
Right.
These teammates do it well for him. So that makes it a little more interesting when you're trying to defend him.
You use the words all-star, and last season was Trae Young's 4th all-star selection of his career, averaging just north of 24 points per game and an NBA best 11.6 assists per game.
That's pretty good.
Pretty good. But
pretty good.
He has struggled against the Bulls
Yes.
throughout his career. Shout out to our pal Eli Schuster, who does a great job for Bleacher Nation Bulls. Give them a follow. Give him a follow. He pointed this out earlier today ahead of the matchup. Io is 9-2 win-loss record against Trae Young in his NBA career. The Bulls have held Trae to 43% shooting from the floor in those matchups, while Io has shot just above 50% in those 11 matchups, including Io in his past 2 games against Trae has gone 15 of 20 from the field.
Oh.
And yeah, Eli also added an additional stat that's nice and juicy for all of you Io lovers who love watching him clamp up Trae Young. In those 11 games, when defended by Io DeSumo specifically, Trae Young has shot 33% from the field.
Ooh, clank, clank.
Let's go, Io.
Roxy.
Let's go, Io.
Bow. He clamping them, man. That's what you want to hear. It's why I call him the Warden. And I want it to continue because it hasn't just been a one-time thing. And remember, they play Atlanta 4 times during the season, man. And they're always like kind of close games. I still remember the game winner Atlanta had. I still remember the game winner the Bulls had. And that was an Ayo DeSumo game winner that we got to talk to him about when we were in Paris at the Louvre.
Flex.
That's a flex. So, yeah, man, like I'm excited when Atlanta comes to town because they both go at each other. And you can see that both teams really are trying to compete and get this victory from one another. But like I said, Atlanta's a different look, but the Bulls have been a different look. You know, these past 2 games, this has been a different look of a Bulls team that I was expecting. I'll speak for myself. That I was expecting to see out there on the floor, man. This team is playing together, and this team is playing like a true team. And I'm not saying this as a diss to them, but they play like a really good college basketball team. It's like watching Hoosiers out there, man. Like everybody is for everybody. You know, there is no one standout kind of star for them. Like everybody does what's supposed to happen on the floor. If they're hot, they'll stay with it. If they're not, they'll go to the next man and those guys will come in and compete. So the Bulls are definitely been going at that. We heard Ayo talking about it to the media, how they just embrace that as a team as they kind of come in. And yeah, coming in against Atlanta, man, like this should be interesting.
Brendan Epton in the chat saying it's an Io night. Those stats are awesome. PT Soren 42 saying time for the Io Modest show tonight. Juan Miller, Io is going to lock up Trae. So, and you know, speaking of that matchup specifically, Io has come off the bench for the Bulls in their first 2 games. We talked a lot like through training camp weeks and then preseason, like, man, Ayo DeSumo could be one of the best 6-man guys in the league. The way that he was looking in preseason, clearly fully recovered from that shoulder surgery that ended last year prematurely for him. And one of the better 2-way players the Bulls have on their roster, and maybe keeping him in that 6-man spot as opposed to, is he in the 5th starter conversation? We've also seen Isaac Okoro somewhat underwhelming in their first 2 games, underwhelming in the preseason, and Billy Donovan is on the record saying, I'm not afraid to change up our starting lineups from time to time, depending on matchups. You might wonder, is tonight one of those nights? Ayo gets the start to try and clamp Trae? No, because just seconds ago, the Bulls dropped their starting 5. It is Josh Giddey, Trae Jones, Isaac Okoro still in there
it is.
Along with Modest and Vooch.
All right. There it is. And you're going with defense because, again, you can point to the offense for sure. You can absolutely point to the offense. It's glaring. Scoro is hilarious. But you can point to that offense for sure. But it's what he's doing defensively against the guys he's been tasked with defending. Those guys have not been playing well in those 2 games against the Bulls, especially if you want to look at Cade Cunningham, who had a really, really tough game with a guy like Okoro guarding him. And so Billy sees that, I'm sure. And it's like, I can go with this and still have a guy like Kevin Huerter coming in off the bench who's been solid, coming in off the bench for him and scoring, being a scoring punch for them. Even last game, and that's a guy we forgot to mention last game. He filled up the stat sheet last game for the Bulls, man. He played really well for them off the bench. So I mean, if it's not broke, you don't try to fix it. You're 2-0, with these guys and the way it's been going and the way it's been playing, Matt. I mean, why would you change the recipe of the stew you got going?
Good point. Thomas Banks in the chat saying Okoro definitely getting his first points tonight. Hold that thought.
Hot take.
Because we do have some Bet365 pregame picks coming up for y'all a little bit later on tonight's show. There may or may not be an Isaac Okoro pick in there. We'll see.
All right.
Still waiting on the Hawks to drop their official starting five for tonight. We'll get that to y'all as soon as they drop it. But, we'll see as far as who the Hawks start with, what those individual matchups might look like with that Bulls starting five, including still Isaac Okoro. The Hawks, I mentioned at the top of the show, had a busy offseason. Yeah. So we figured our first matchup against this familiar foe, let's take a look at what's the same and what's different as far as the Hawks of yesteryear, which, by the way, like the Bulls, were a play-in tournament participant.
They were.
So quick to note also, their former GM, Landry Fields, was fired by the Hawks after their second consecutive play-in tournament exit.
Whoa.
Interesting.
No comment on that? Comment on that?
They won one more game than us last year.
They did. They went 40-42.
Interesting.
And then lost the 7-8 play-in game and then lost to Miami, who beat the Bulls in the winner versus loser game. So they got bounced out like the Bulls did, and Hawks ownership said, that's not good enough. Let's get somebody else in here. Could you even fathom that? I can't. But that was just the beginning of a bold offseason. Ansi Saleh, by the way, their new GM, he was promoted and has been making moves with his brain trust of Hawks front office people. They brought in Kristaps Porzingis via trade, of course, with the Boston Celtics, who were trying to shed some of their big money contracts in what might be a down year without Tatum. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, they acquired via sign-in trade. They also signed Luke Kennard, the sharpshooter, in free agency. And their first-round draft pick, Asa Newell, the 23rd pick of the 2025 draft. If you recall, the Hawks are that team who, one spot after the Bulls, made that trade with the Pelicans, who really, really, really wanted Derek Queen and gave the Hawks their unprotected first-round pick next year.
Really, really want to continue it.
Because it's devastating to my case. So, big-time additions, big names that the Hawks went out and got this season. As far as who left, either in free agency or those trades, Clint Capella is gone via trade. Terrence Mann gone via trade. Kobe Buffkin gone via trade. George Niang gone via trade. Karis LeVert, who was there for just a portion of the season, he arrived in a midseason trade. He left in free agency, as did Larry Nance Jr.
Okay.
So, a lot of moving pieces for the Atlanta Hawks. Obviously, as you were talking about, Dave, Trae Young still the nucleus of everything they're doing.
Yeah.
But they've added some really interesting pieces to this team.
Yeah, like I said, it's pieces that they're like, where's Trae Young's struggle? Where is he bad at? Okay, what does he need help at? Oh, these things. Oh, defense, yes. And defense again. Yes, we're going to take care of those two things. And also, any point guard like that, I don't care what point guard it is going to need a spot-up shooter. I don't care who you are. So they go out and they get, say, big money Luke Kennard. and they're going to have him in there. He's proven. He's absolutely proven. He reminds me immediately, I think, of Red Velvet being on that Atlanta team for them, and the heater that young man was on when he was there. Like, having a guy like Luke Kennard there, man, like, he can absolutely be that 40+% three-point shooter. Why do I know this? Because he's done it before in his past, man. So that's his job. That's what he comes in to do. And he hasn't failed in that job, which is why he's kind of still in the NBA. So it's a great move, man. And I like the move that the GMs made. And Asa Newell was definitely a guy that we talked about during the NBA draft time when we were having those shows. I think we all were like, yeah, this dude can play. Before he was drafted by Atlanta, you still got their pick from the previous year. You got Sarr there, who's still going to grow and get better as well. Riza Shea, excuse me. I get him and those two mixed up. Riza Shea.
So does everybody.
Yes. Who's solid, like who flashed before Sarr did when he was in Washington. Riza Shea definitely flashed. So that gives them upside and things like that. But Kristaps Porzingis, man, like, that's a good move, for them, because that's a guy who takes care of that offense and the defense. He'll give you help on both sides of the basketball there. So he's a guy capable of scoring 30 and a guy that's capable of giving you quite a few blocks and defensive presence on the other end. It's a great move.
And, not just Kristaps, but yes, they lost Clint Capella. I think people were kind of wondering, is, his production worth the money?
Yeah.
Hawks were ready to move on from him, especially with the emergence of Onyeka Okongwu, who the Hawks shouted out on their socials, who has been strong so far this season. Okongwu now just the 15th player in Hawks history with over at least 3,000 points, 2,000 boards, 400 assists, 300 blocks, 200 steals.
Wow.
And has done that in pretty short order. So, I mean, that's some of the physicality that Billy Donovan has talked about starting in training camp practices through the preseason, trying to build this team's defensive identity with a bit more physicality while trying to also limit fouls and limit free throw attempts for your opponent.
Right.
Can we play a more physical brand of basketball? Can we take some more charges? Some of those big, muscly, guys in the NBA, the Bulls have had tough time containing. Yeah. So I'm curious to see how the Bulls handle the physicality of this game, because it's a game that will not only be physical, but frenetically fast. The Hawks were third in the NBA in pace last season, behind just the Bulls in second and Memphis in first. And you know that they are going to be out there running and gunning. That is the way they like to play.
Yeah, and I think also something that will happen this game we haven't seen the past two is the three-point shooting should be better with a team like the Atlanta Hawks. So we're going to have to look out for that because the Bulls definitely, some of it was defense and some of it the shots, just were playing Charlie Bell out there. So we'll figure it out, though. I think the Bulls, as you mentioned, Matt, they're going to, like you said, they're a team that's fast-paced and physical. That's what the Bulls have been this year in these past two games. And you mentioned where they were at in pace last year. Well, the first team you mentioned that was second above them was the Chicago Bulls. And it's what they do. Bulls are going to get out and run. They're going to get out and run. They want to be physical. The Bulls want to be physical, which means hopefully a goon of the night belt shall be handed out tonight, baby. And it shall be well earned after the Bulls get their third win in a row. So I expect a good, tough, fun basketball game, because that's usually what we get when it's the Bulls and the Atlanta Hawks.
You mentioned the three-point shooting, Dave, and that has, I think, been a big factor in the Bulls' 2-0 start.
Yes.
They have not shot particularly well.
No.
But their opponents have been worse.
A poopy.
So, Goat made a little joke on our, I think, Saturday night postgame show, like, after two games, Bulls #1 defense in the NBA. And so I went and did some stat digging earlier today to see, in a very small 2-game sample size, just how real the #1 in the NBA Bulls defense is.
Yeah.
Because as of right now, they do have a 98.1 defensive rating.
Wow.
First in the NBA.
Wow.
Their defensive four factors, only one of them is impressive, which is opponent's effective field goal percentage, 44.6. Best in the NBA.
Pretty good.
Opponent effective field goal percentage.
Pretty good.
There are other defensive four factors: free throw attempt rate from their opponents, turnovers from their opponents, offensive rebounds from their opponents, are all middle of the pack or bad. 19th in free throw rate, 14th in forcing 26th in forcing turnovers, and 15th in opponents' offensive rebounding. So you're like, how do the Bulls have the #1 defense with some pretty average four-factor defensive stats?
How, Matt?
Missed shots. But this is not all just to say that it's fool's gold with the Bulls defense in these two first wins, because what they have done well is limit teams to shots that are open or wide open. The way that the league breaks down those stats is 0 to 2 feet, nearest defender, they consider very tight defensive coverage. When a shot goes up, 2 to 4 feet, tight. 4 to 6 is an open shot. Over 6 feet, wide open shot. So there are a couple numbers that jump out if you want to take a look at these. Thank you, Joey. Is that the Bulls are top 10, almost top 5 in the tight defensive 0 to 2 feet shots taken from their opponents. Middle left column is percentage of total field goal attempts that are guarded that tight. And then, of course, as you move left to right, the field goal percentage in that range of defensive tightness. And then on the right, 3-point percentage. So the Bulls, 51.6%, at least 2 to 4 feet of defensive coverage is the best coverage of that kind in the NBA. And the efficiency from their opponents, somewhere between middle of the pack and good. 11th for overall field goal percentage, 8th in threes. When they leave their opponents open a bit from 4 to 6 feet, and that's 23% of Bulls opponents where they get their shots, 4 to 6 feet open, 44.2%, middle of the pack, 33.3% from three, middle of the pack. Their opponents who are at least 6 feet open or more when the shot goes up. 16% of the field goal attempts the Bulls are allowing as a team are from 6 feet open or more. That is, it sounds like a lot, but it's still the lowest number of any NBA team. They aren't allowing that many wide open shots.
Yeah.
But of those wide open shots, their opponents are shooting 20% from the field and 14.8%.
Lang.
It's not good.
Clang.
It's not good, Jim.
So it's like, it's a lot of numbers, but basically what that tells you, and again, a small 2-game sample size, is the Bulls are, to their credit, doing a good job of limiting their opponents to open or wide open looks. And the open and especially wide open looks their opponents are getting, that's where the Bulls are getting a little lucky because their first two opponents have been bricking wide open shots.
Wow. Could you put that back up, Joey C., please? First of all, brilliant job done by young Matt Peck right there on that breakdown.
Defensive stats.
Because I love the first part he was showing, and then my man Robert comes, well, if you look at the three-point shooting, and then Matt said, hold up, I got you covered on that too, sir. Let me show you that right there. The wide open is pretty alarming and outstanding, but that 4 to 6 I like very much because that percentage of those field goal attempts, like the attempts is what I like so much on there, and them being second at that. So if you're going by the field goal percentage and the 3-point percentage, you can say middle of the pack, as Matt was saying, with those tight numbers. But I love the fact that the percentage of the attempts, the Bulls are first and second and top 10 at. That, for me, I like a lot in each one of those categories, man. That means they're scrappy. Like that, again, a really tough college team is the style that they're playing with right now, that kind of swarm kind of thing. Like no one person is standing out. Everybody is kind of together and trying to do this as a unit and as a squad. And there's no problem with that. There are a million ways to win in the NBA, and this way right here is working for the Chicago Bulls. This also points out to me Billy Donovan as well. When I sit and look at these stats, I told you on the show last time, he's the second best player on the team for the Bulls right now. This stuff sounds like Billy Donovan to me when I look at this. This man understands his team, and he's learning his players. And that comes with, and you'll come with the credit I'll give him. It comes with him being there also and knowing his players over this period of years. So getting to know them, understanding their quirks, understanding their ticks, who can do what out there and when they can do what out there. It's why you saw Josh Giddey go have a seat in that fourth quarter when Ayo was cooking out there. He's like, no, he's got this one. It's all right. So you give credit to the coach for those kind of numbers as well. When you see them as alarming, and I find those alarming in a good way, when they're that alarming, when they're in the top 10 on those kind of categories, man. So, yeah, some luck is involved, without a doubt. like wide open and clanging, some luck is involved. But you can also say how much is that played into because maybe they're a little tired, with the Bulls wearing them down. Maybe they don't know because of the Bulls are switching their rotations of who's coming in. They don't know who's coming in to guard what in that situation. So they're catching teams off guard, man. And that's a great thing, man. Whatever you can do and use to win, you should do that to win, and that is coaching right there.
And I think some of it, and you can name a number of players who have done this successfully in their first two games, especially the shots and opponent's field goal percentage when it is 0 to 2 feet or even 2 to 4 feet. Like the Bulls have done a good job making shots difficult, I think, for their opponents in their first couple of games. Their closeouts have mostly been good, I think. Again, just 16% of their opponent's shots in their first two games have been wide open, and just making their opponents take some difficult shots in these first two games.
Yes.
Which you always appreciate, especially when you know that also, by the way, here's another defensive stat for you.
Okay.
Through the first two games, the Bulls, maybe not a surprise, dead last in the NBA in points in the paint allowed to their opponents.
Yeah, that's absolutely been a struggle.
Over 60 points a game allowed in the paint in their first two.
Yeah,
on
man.
average.
That's going to be tough. And again, it's working out because the 3-point shooting hasn't worked out for those other teams. So it's worked out for the Bulls, and some of that free throw shooting hasn't worked out for those teams as well, man. So yeah, like they're benefiting from it, and this is a good thing because we've seen them like this and not be able to benefit from it before. So now they're benefiting from these things, man. And they're doing it against two really good teams, and now in the East, and now a third good team in the East they get to play.
And just overall, whether it's the Bulls doing a good job contesting the shots or not, 3-point wise, it'll be interesting to see how many threes the Hawks jack up tonight. Just 19th in the NBA so far in 3-point attempts per game at 34.3, and making them at just a 33% clip, 23rd in the NBA. The Bulls' first two opponents, on average, took only 24 threes and hit them at just shy of 21%. So, like, the Hawks are not a big three-point shooting team out of the gate this season, but they are more of a three-point shooting team than either the Pistons or Magic were last week.
Trae Young, I was going to say Trae Jones. Trae Young, man, he's going to be getting them up tonight, man. Now, we'll see if they're hitting because Iowa will be on him, but he's going to get them up. Save Big Money is going to get them up. Porzingis is going to get them up. Like, they have multiple threats from the three-point line, and we'll see, because if they are clanging those, Bulls got a shot, baby. 3-0 in the horizon.
That they do. So the Hawks starting five, obviously Trae Young, Dyson Daniels, last year's Most Improved Player Award winner, who came in second in Defensive Player of the Year, all defensive first team.
So awesome.
Big expectations on his shoulders this year. Kristaps, who is going to play through flu-like symptoms, Reza Shea, the second-place finisher for Rookie of the Year last year, and Jalen Johnson. That is a formidable starting five the Bulls are going up against.
Reza Shea and Modest is the matchup I will absolutely be watching, man. I can't wait to see that matchup.
Juicy.
Seriously. Should be fun.
Rob saying Trae's about to go through the Trae gauntlet.
Oh, then
let's see it. I want picking Trae's pocket and talking smack to him, going back down the other way after a transition easy two.
Yes, man. I want all of it.
Before we get out of here, how about some pregame picks?
How about it, man? Pat?
Presented by our friends at Bet365.
Thank you, sir.
Don't forget that promo code CHGO365 when you sign up to take advantage of that first $5 bet offer to get $200 in bonus bets. Whether your bet wins or loses, don't matter. Use that promo code CHGO365. Must be 21 and over. If someone you or know has a gambling problem, crisis counseling and referral services can be accessed by calling 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, here we go.
Here we go.
Trae Jones.
All right.
Doing a little bit of everything in these first two games in the starting lineup again tonight while Kobe recuperates the calf. I like over 10.5 assists and rebounds.
Ooh.
Despite his size, Trae is opportunistic on the glass. He's been putting in some work on the glass. So that, plus he's been putting up big numbers as far as his dimes in the first two. I like over 10.5 on assists and rebounds. Isaac Okoro. This bet is more so a motivation.
Okay.
Isaac Okoro.
This is stone cold. This is a stone cold bet tonight.
If you got some earbuds in the layup line as we get closer to tip off. So this is, Bet365 always for players' points offers the baseline over-under on points scored. Okay. They also offer a low points number and a high points number that fluctuate the odds. Okay. So Isaac Okoro's over-under on points scored tonight was actually 7.5, but I looked at the low of 3.5, and I was like, you know what? How about you prove to us, Isaac Okoro, that you can score at least 4 points tonight after going scoreless in your first two? And I love those plus 350 odds. He can knock down a three and still win me this bet.
It's true.
At under 3.5.
That's true.
But I hope this bet is wrong.
Yeah.
This is a motivation bet for Isaac Okoro. Third game in the starting lineup.
Yes.
You can't go over in 3 games.
You can't.
You can't.
I agree.
So,
he's got to score.
And if he does, it's a little consolation prize for me as a Bulls fan who wants him to not go scoreless in 3 straight games.
Correct.
And then over-under points scored tonight between the Bulls and Hawks. The Bulls, 26th in the NBA in points per game, I believe, out of the gate.
Okay.
The Hawks, 29th.
Oh.
The Bulls and Hawks are combined averaging about 220.5 points per game, 222.5 per game. The over-under was at 243. So how about a little plus 100 odds at under 242.5? Part of me doesn't love this, because I have seen so many high-scoring, out-of-control Bulls-Hawks games. Bulls-Hawks games that maybe get a little extra 5 minutes at the end of them.
A little bit.
But, I mean, that's a 20-point gap between what these two teams have averaged points per game-wise in their first handful of games and what the over-under on total points is.
Wow.
I'd be dumb not to take the under, right? Right?
Look at my man say, Okoro be like, hold my beer, Mr. Peck.
Hey, I would love to hold your beer, Mr. Okoro, if
while
it meant you scoring at least 4 points tonight.
Yeah. He wants him to score, ladies and gentlemen. I keep hearing that part. He wants him to score. This is a motivation kind of bet right here, and I'm all about that life, sir. Congratulations on the motivation.
Love it. Get your bets in at Bet365. Still got a couple minutes before tip-off. Shout out to all 130 plus of y'all watching.
Woo.
Hit that like button if you haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
We will be back here for live CHGO Bulls postgame after the conclusion of this one with our guy, Will the Go Gottlieb, checking in from the UC. Again, reminder to follow him for his in-game updates, Will_Gottlieb. Hit the like. Make sure you're subscribed to that CHGO Sports YouTube channel if you aren't already. Shout out to Joey C. He'll be back with us for postgame.
The Singers were cool.
For Big Dave, Peck, thanks for tuning in to pregame. Let's watch some Bulls Hawks hysteria.
Let's do it, man.
Let's do it. These are always entertaining. Enjoy the hoops. We'll talk to you in postgame.
Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.